All right, so we're going to go over non-traditional value. If you missed that in class, just follow along with this video. You can pause it at any time to, kind of catch up or finish up a spot if I go too fast. But at the top of your paper, somewhere on your, either in where you take your notes or in your sketchbook, I want you to write the word non-traditional value. Now, what non-traditional value means is that it's value that uses lines or dots or scribbles or something to fill it in. So it doesn't use the traditional value that we think of with blending something smooth or the likes of that. Second, I lost my pencil. Okay, so value. For the sense of what we're going to use value for our classroom, it's going to be a black, a white, and 3 shades of gray. A black, a white, and 3 shades of gray. And what that means is your white value, you will already have it because your paper that you're drawing on is white. We're going to make a really, really dark black, and then we will have 3 shades of gray, a light gray, a medium gray, and a dark gray. So your first value that we're going to do, I want you to make a long, skinny rectangle, and go ahead, divide that up into 5 boxes, kind of like so. Under the first box, I want you to put a W, that will be your white value, and then a 1 for your first gray, a 2 for your second gray, a 3 for your third gray, and then finally a black for your black value. And then we are going to title this Hatching, H-A-T-C-H-I-N-G. And now what hatching is you're going to fill it in using parallel lines. So I'm just going to put parallel lines. So for this first box, for white, we're just going to leave it white because that is the value of your paper. But for your number 1 gray, we're going to try to make a light gray. So to do so, you're going to take these parallel lines and you're going to draw them pretty far spaced apart so that there's lots of white area in the middle. Now you're looking at this right now and you're thinking, that just looks like black lines on white paper, but it'll make sense in a little bit. So to make your gray look darker for this number 2 gray, we're going to make your lines a little bit closer together. Now I said parallel lines, and parallel lines usually don't touch, but if you mess up a little bit, that's fine, as long as they're pretty much going in the same direction. For your dark gray, you want your lines to be so close together that some of them might start to touch. You still have a little bit of white peeking through, but not that much. And then finally your black. You're going to put so many lines on your paper that almost no white spaces are peeking through. Kind of like so. So now can you see that we have a white, a black, and a kind of a light gray, a medium gray, and a dark gray. And that's hatching. Now underneath here I want you to draw a second long skinny rectangle and divide it up into your 5 boxes. Do your W, 1, 2, 3, B. This time we're going to use cross hatching. And the cross hatching is very similar to hatching, except this time you use 2 sets of lines. So you make kind of like a tic-tac-toe pattern. So we're going to say 2 sets of parallel lines. So your white value, you leave that white. Your number 1 value, your first gray. Remember your lines are going to be further apart just like the first time. But this time, you're going to put lines that go in the opposite direction. So you make, like I said, kind of like a checkerboard value. For your medium gray, you want to make sure that you make those lines closer together. And you'll notice when you put your second set of lines in, the boxes that are in between are going to be a lot smaller. For your dark gray, you want to make your lines so close that maybe some of them touch a little bit. You have teeny, teeny, tiny boxes for this one. And then finally that black value. You want very, very little white to show through. Very little white. Now you have your white, your black, your 3 shades of gray. One more, oh, I shouldn't say one more, we're doing 2 more, but to go ahead and draw another long skinny rectangle. 5 boxes, W1, 2, 3, B. This one we're going to do stippling. Now stippling takes a lot longer because you're using just little bitty dots to fill things in. Now this will, like I said, it takes a lot longer, but it makes art that's very, very cool. So your white, once again, you're not touching it. This time I'm only going to fill in a little area in the middle, but your light gray value, you would make some dots that are pretty far apart. Your medium gray, you draw more and more dots. I'm going to try to go a little fast. You can take your time with this, but I don't want to bore you with watching me draw dots. Your dark gray, so many dots are in your paper that they're really starting to touch each other. Not that much white is showing through. And then finally, your black value. I'm just going to do a little dot here in the middle. Your black value has so many dots that it looks black. And then finally, this is kind of my favorite one. I want you to draw a long skinny rectangle, last one. 5 boxes in your W1, 2, 3B. Now this one's going to be called scumbling. S-C-U-M-B-L-I-N-G. And what scumbling is it's scribbles. So in the first gray box right here, just kind of fill it in with big wide open scribbles. And your scribbles are going to get a little bit more closer together. Really, really close together to where there's not that much white space for the third gray. And then finally the black box. Your scribbles are completely filling it in to where there's no white. Alrighty. Now if you have any questions with any of these, feel free to either talk to me in class or shoot me an email. But I do want, you're not going to use them in this lesson, but whenever we went over it in class, we talked about 2 things, a blending stub and a kneaded eraser. So either off to the side or down at the bottom, I want you to write down these definitions. A blending stub, what a blending stub is it's rolled paper to blend graphite. What that means is it'll be a rolled up piece of paper that looks almost either like a cone or it looks like the pointed end of a pencil, and you rub it over your graphite to make it smooth, which we'll talk about with traditional value. And graphite is what the lead in your pencil's called. It's not lead anymore, it's graphite. And then finally, kneaded eraser. Kneaded like how you knead bread dough. Kneaded eraser. What this is it's a gray squishy eraser, and it only takes up 1 value at a time. So I want you to write that. Takes up 1 value. So what this means is a normal white eraser, like on the end of your pencil, that would erase everything. Like if I go across this black value right here, this isn't a very good eraser, but if I go across this black value right here, eventually it would take up all of the graphite. Mine's not that great of an eraser, but you get the idea. A kneaded eraser is a squishy gray one that if you swiped it across this once, it would turn it from a black to a dark gray. If you swiped it across it again, it would take it down to a medium gray. We'll talk about these more in class, especially whenever we start your next project. So that's it for your non-traditional value. Once again, if you have questions, feel free to email me, come by my classroom, or talk to me in class. Whenever you finish this, make sure you take a picture and you turn it in on Schoology in the value folder. It'll say in class non-traditional value practice.